You have lived in the house on Weller Street for 9 years. You know it the way you know your own handwriting, not by reading it, but by the feel of it. The second step from the bottom creaks at the left edge. The kitchen faucet runs cold for 11 seconds before the hot water arrives. The bedroom radiator pops 3 times at 2 a.m. during winter, loud enough to wake you, and then goes quiet. You know all of this. You know this house. That is why it takes you a moment to process what you're seeing. One Thursday afternoon in October, when you walk down the upstairs hallway to get a box from the linen closet, and you notice the door at the end of the hall. It is a plain door, white paint, slightly yellowed at the knob. The same style as every other interior door in the house. It is not alarming. It is not unusual. It is so ordinary that your eyes have been moving past it for 9 years without registering it as anything other than background, like a light switch or a baseboard, an expected feature of a hallway. You stand there with your hand on the linen closet door handle, and you look at the white door, and you think, I have never opened that. And then, stranger still, I have never wondered why. You try to remember. 9 years of living in this house, and you have no memory of opening that door. No memory of being curious about it. No memory of asking the previous owner during the walkthrough what was behind it. No memory of looking at it at all in any active way until this moment. Your children have lived here most of their lives. You think about whether they have ever mentioned the door. You go through your memory of every conversation about the house, every game of hide and seek, every time someone lost something and searched from room to room. The door does not appear in any of them. You knock on it. The sound it makes is flat. Close. Like knocking on a wall. You try the handle. It turns. But the door does not move. Not locked, you can feel the latch clearing, but the door itself is motionless. Painted shut, you think, or swollen in the frame. Old houses do this. You put your shoulder against it and push, and something on the other side shifts slightly, a soft weight redistributing. And then the door is still again. You are not afraid. This is important. You are curious and slightly bothered by the gap in your own memory, but you are not afraid. It's your house. It's a door. You go downstairs and find a flathead screwdriver to work around the frame, and you go back upstairs. The door is open, not the way you've left it. Slightly ajar from your shoulder push. Open. Fully open. 90 degrees, held in place by the weight of it, the knob resting against the wall. The room behind it is empty. A normal room. 8 by 10 you estimate. A single window, east-facing. Afternoon light slanted across bare wood floors. No furniture. No boxes. Nothing on the walls. A ceiling light fixture with no bulb. The floor is dusty, but not heavily so. The dust disturbed, you notice, in a pattern near the center of the room. A circle, roughly, about 3 feet across. As if something sat there for a long time and then stood up. You take out your phone and photograph the room. You photograph the floor. You photograph the window. Later, looking at the photographs, you will notice something you missed in person. The window has no exterior view. The glass is clear, but the other side shows nothing. No sky, no roof edge, no tree line, no light source, though the afternoon sun is coming through it perfectly. You will spend 2 days trying to explain this and failing. But that comes later. Right now, you are standing in the doorway of a room you have never entered, in a house you have lived in for 9 years, looking at a circle in the dust and feeling the specific disorientation of realizing that your memory has a gap shaped exactly like a room. You ask your husband if he has ever been in that room. He is quiet for a moment. The wrong kind of quiet. The kind that means he's also searching his memory and finding the same smooth absence you found. And then he says he doesn't think so. He says he doesn't think he's ever really looked at that door. You ask your oldest daughter, who is 14. She looks at you the way teenagers look at you when they think you're playing a game. And then her expression shifts, and she says, "What door?" She has lived in this house since she was 5. She sleeps 20 feet from that door. She passes it every morning on the way to the bathroom. When you take her upstairs and show her, she stares at it for a long time. Then she says, "How long has that been there?" You don't answer. You call the real estate agent who handled the sale in 2017. She no longer works at the agency, but you track down her email. She responds within an hour. She says she remembers the house well. She says it was a straightforward 3-bedroom colonial. When you describe the upstairs hallway and the door at the end, she types, "I'm sorry, which room are you referring to?" She does not remember a 4th room upstairs. She doesn't remember the door. The previous owner's name is in your closing documents. You do not contact him. You made this decision without fully articulating it to yourself, which is itself something you notice later, that you decided not to ask him without thinking about why. Instead, you sit in the doorway of the room that evening, after the kids are in bed, and you look at the circle in the dust. It is the only evidence that anything was ever in the room. You measure it, 31 inches in diameter. You press your fingertip to the edge of it, and the dust resists slightly, compacted, old, not from today. You think about what fits in a 31-inch circle. The window, you have now confirmed, does not appear on the exterior of the house. You have walked around the outside twice and measured the wall placements. The east-facing wall where the window should be shows no window. Seamless siding. Your husband stands inside the room and presses his face to the glass, and you stand outside in the yard and look at the wall, and there is nothing there. He says he can see you, faintly. You look directly at where his face should be and see only the side of your own house. That night, you dream about the room. In the dream, it is furnished. A single chair in the center of the circle. In the dust, the chair is occupied. You cannot see what is in it. The window in the dream shows sky. A sky the wrong color, more gray than any gray you know. The color of a photograph that has been in a drawer for a very long time. You wake at 2 a.m. The radiator pops 3 times. In the morning, you open the door to check. The room is still empty. The circle in the dust is gone. In its place, smoothed flat, the dust shows a single mark. in the doorway to look at it without disturbing the floor. A handprint. Small, child-sized, centered where the circle used to be. The fingers point toward the window. You close the door and go downstairs and make coffee, and do not go back upstairs until after the kids are at school. When you do, the door is there, and the room is there, and the handprint is there, and none of the people in your house can explain it, and neither can you. You have lived here for 9 years. You know every room. You know this house. The registry asks that you update this file if the window begins to show an exterior view again, or if the room acquires further contents, or if you determine the source of the handprint. You have not updated this file. Case TR-2.2600615-68 remains open.